Bats are amazing creatures. For one, they are the only mammals capable of true flight. Bats make up over 20% of all mammal species in the world. There are 28 species of bats in Arizona. And according to the Parsons Field Institute of the McDowell Sonoran Conservancy, 12 species of bats have been documented at Scottsdale's McDowell Sonoran Preserve. Most bat activity takes place at night when the temperature is cooler, predators are fewer, and there's less competition for food. Being nocturnal, they have adapted for living under the natural changing phases of moonlight each month. All but two Arizona bat species feed on insects. The lesser long-nosed bat and the Mexican long-tongued bat feed on nectar and pollen of night-blooming plants like swallows and the organ pipe cactus. Bats use a variety of roost sites for different purposes. There are maternity roosts, places for sleeping during the day and resting at night, and locations for hibernating. Roosts can be in buildings. Western red bats roost in trees. California leaf-nosed and Townsend's big-eared bats roost in abandoned mines and caves. During the summer months, you can watch Mexican free-tailed bats as they emerge from their roost under the 40th Street and Camelback Tunnel in Phoenix. Most bats use echolocation to navigate, communicate, and catch prey. Even some nectar feeders are capable of echolocation, although they will rely more on their sense of smell and sight. While the saying goes that someone could be blind as a bat, truth is, their overall vision may be better than humans during dawn and dusk. The California leaf-nosed bat relies more on its vision when hunting prey under low levels of artificial light, when that light is similar to a moonlit night. Their color vision is not as good as humans. However, new research shows that some bat species see ultraviolet light, wavelengths of color that we can't see. Understanding how bats see gives us more insight into the impact light pollution has on bats and what we can do about it. Unfortunately, many bat populations are declining in numbers. Habitat loss and pesticide use are two of the causes. White nose syndrome is a virus that's responsible for the death of millions of bats in North America. Our focus here is on the impact light pollution has on bats. Today, more than 80% of the world lives under light-polluted skies. Excessive amounts of light, leading to light pollution, can come from a home security light that's left on through the night, to the lights of Vegas, from bridge lighting to LED billboards along the highway. According to the International Dark Sky Association website, common outdoor light sources include low pressure and high pressure sodium lamps, metal halide, and light emitting diodes, or LEDs. These lights differ based on the color, intensity, and brightness of the light. So how do bats respond to artificial lights? Well, it depends on the bat species and their behavior and the type of artificial light. In general, slow-flying bats tend to avoid any lit area. Artificial lighting can help some bats, typically fast-flying bats. Hoary and eastern red bats in Connecticut, for example, are unaffected. Studies, mostly done in Europe, have shown that artificial light can have an impact on roosting, commuting and foraging routes, and feeding behavior. Since bats typically return to the same roosts year after year, lighting the entrance can have some detrimental effects. Maternity roosts may not be reestablished, or they could be abandoned. When most bats commonly give birth to one pup per year, it can take a heavy toll on the population. Some bats, like the canyon bat, our smallest Arizona bat, emerge at dusk in direct response to the dimming light, flying in and out of the roost to check the light level before completely emerging. Artificial lights can prevent bats from seeing this change. When emergence from a roost is delayed, it shortens the amount of time they have to forage. Since more nocturnal insects are around at and soon after dusk, a delay in leaving the roost means this vital time for feeding is missed. Some may not leave the roost at all. Slow-flying bats can be especially impacted if they encounter lights along established flight paths to and from feeding grounds. They may fly higher above the trees rather than typically hugging lower vegetation. They may reverse course or take a wider, longer path, causing them to expend more energy, possibly for less food. A continuous line of streetlights along roads creates barriers that some bats just won't cross. Lesser long-nosed bats use a hovering, slow flight. They're an example of a bat in the Sonoran Desert that avoids lights along commuting routes. Feeding is impacted by artificial light because, well, first, many species of bats avoid any lit area. Second, so many insects, such as moths, small swarming flies, and lacewings, are attracted to certain types of artificial lights. Most insects are attracted to ultraviolet light. Research in Europe has shown that slow-flying bats avoid light from any artificial source. But to make matters worse, it's believed that insects from the nearby habitats that are not illuminated are also drawn to artificial lights. So the slow-flying bats are left with fewer insects to feed on and a poorer quality feeding ground. The lesser long-nosed bat, on the other hand, appears to have no problem tolerating low levels of light, at least while feeding at neighborhood hummingbird feeders in Tucson. Fast-flying hawking bats, which often hunt in open landscapes, take advantage of the swarms of night-flying insects attracted to lights, like white mercury streetlights, especially if they emit UV or blue-white light. According to a July 19 article by Earth Law Center, research shows a pipistrelle species in Italy may have physically already adapted to artificial lights. Since 1945, their skull sizes have increased, perhaps to better enable them to eat the larger insects found under the lights. These larger insects include moths, which are also affected by light pollution. Research indicates that moths may lose the ability to hear bats' echolocation signals under mercury vapor and LED lights. But hunting in the light can be risky. What if they're spotted? Chances are they themselves can more easily become prey to owls and other nocturnal predators. The color of the artificial light matters. Just consider the difference between the bright white xenon headlights of newer cars versus the softer yellow glow of bug lights. The International Dark Sky Association recommends using outdoor lighting that has a color temperature of not more than 3,000 kelvins. While UV-producing lights have an impact on bat behavior, red lights at the opposite end of the spectrum appear to have no significant effect on any bat group. Now, one city in the Netherlands is welcoming bats and literally turning the town red by installing new bat-friendly red LED streetlights. So what can you do? We urge everyone to follow the Fountain Hills Dark Sky Association guide to smart lighting. Use proper shielding to prevent light trespass and glare. Choose colors in the warmer end of the light spectrum. Limit how bright the lights are. Light only what is needed. But above all, avoid the use of all unnecessary outdoor lighting. The bats will thank you for a more natural, dark night.